It is a Thursday night here at the Voice of College Football Miami, and you know what that means. That means we've got the wholesome one here, and it's a special hour with him. So bring those comments and questions. Let's join the discussion. Let's get after it on a week when Miami hits the field at home against
the hated rivals of Tallahassee.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Wholesome one. We appreciate you being here as always. Good to see you, and can't wait to hear from you tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those weeks that used to be circled across the country as far as these two teams, some of the most talented teams dating back generations. And it's not that just yet, but it's still a very, very important game to those of us that wear the respective colors and to the alumni of both institutions. Still a very, very big game, and we're excited to play it every year. And this one, it might be not as happy for the Miami Hurricanes, the outcome, but rivalry football has all kinds of outcomes. So who knows what happens when both teams and both staffs get a chance to meet down there at Miami Gardens.
We might want to say that at this point last year, and I know the games typically played a little bit earlier, but at around the same time last year when the two got together, that Miami was playing, or is playing maybe right now at about a level that Florida State was playing last year. And maybe Florida State's playing at a level that Miami was playing at last year. And, we saw a bit of an upset last year. So,
yeah,
you never know.
Still thankful to this day for that. We wouldn't have our coach right now if it were for him being able to continue that streak. And that's the thing about rivalry football. I have no respect nor no care for them and their brand of football, nor their institution, nor their players. But when they get on that same field, you never know what happens when Miami and Tallahassee play football. And whether it's basketball, baseball, whatever, it's just such a big rivalry, especially in the state of Florida, where you grow up hating the other team, and you tend to have friends that like the other team. Like one of my closest friends to this day is a fan of that other school, and still, regardless if we're both 2-8 or somebody's 8-2 and the other one is 2-8, when we get both those helmets that go at it, eyes are going to be glued to the TV, and we will play.
All right, folks, let's get it for the next 60. Before we focus on this one, we had a game that lasted full game and 4 overtimes. Now, those 4 overtimes don't extend as long as they used to because of the new rules, but a bunch of 2-point conversions, obviously, after that second overtime, but no touchdowns. Nobody reached the end zone. Nobody reached the end zone at all until a 2-point conversion, obviously, when Jake Garcia decided to take off and score the game winner against Virginia. So I know that you didn't necessarily feel too good about that one going in, but it's a W.
And Mark, I'm not a wins a win guy. I've never been. That's just not the way I think. Of course, we always want to operate in domination. We want to execute at a high level, and that's not something that Miami has been doing this entire season. So there comes a point where you do have to appreciate the little things and the little victories and the ultimate victory of a win. And that's what we had to do this past Saturday. Is they found a way to win. One of the biggest things that a lot of us and the Miami Hurricanes fan base have been begging our head coach to just take the damn points, just kick the field goal or just punt. You have one of the best punters in the country. You have one of the better kickers in the country. So I just don't understand why the boneheadedness and your offensive line hasn't been moving the ball, but you magically think they're going to move the ball on 4th and inches. Some of those things, and that's the thing about being bullheaded and having an offensive lineman as a head coach and someone who wore this uniform. He is very confident in himself and even probably overly confident in the players that he has out there on that field from time to time. But this past Saturday was probably very, very stressful, and they found a way to get a W, man. Defensively, I would say that was one of the better games I watched them play. Continuously making sure that they didn't get in the end zone, and even when they got to the 3-yard line, you watched Corey Couch and Tyreek Stevenson run their asses off to that pylon to push that young man out and then eventually play 3 more downs to force the field goal. Those are things that you can't really measure that, because that's a decision for them that they were going to go fight to push him out. They weren't going to allow a touchdown. Now, of course, we get to the offense and not so happy about what they did as far as not scoring touchdowns, but they found a way to get in field goal range, and Andy Borregales was able to continuously make his field goals. Perfect day, and Miami came out with a W.
Falcon Rex, always appreciate your support and contribution, sir. Thank you so much for that, Falcon Rex. Well, I can't say that I saw too much of the game. I saw a few highlights in quotes. I went back and looked at a few things, but didn't see much of it, wasn't watching it, and kept seeing the score pop up 3-zip, 3-3, 6-3, 6-6, and then saw that Virginia had a 12-6 lead in overtime, and I thought it might be over, but obviously Miami tied it and then got the 2-point conversion. Who played the best in this game?
Leonard Taylor. 6 tackles, 3 TFLs, a sack. I mean, and it wasn't one of those, Mark, where he just happened to be running and fell into something. No. You watch this young man get knocked back, disengage, and bring the ball carrier down. Things we have been begging for Miami defensive linemen to do since Gerald Willis and R.J. McIntosh, where they would just live on the other side of the line of scrimmage. You also had the fact that he rushed the passer. You saw him use a bunch of the technique as far as striking and fully extending those arms and completely disengaging to go make a play. Not have a guard still pulling on his shirt while he's throwing one arm out there to try to trip a guy up. Nope. He shot the gaps. He got back there and made a solo tackle. These are things that we're expecting from him moving forward. All right, you can't be the number 3 player in the country, the best defensive tackle or second best defensive tackle to Mason Smith, who picked LSU over Miami and Alabama and Florida and places of that nature. And we watched him in high school show flashes of some of the best defensive tackle places. We've watched maybe Marcus Forston back in the day at Miami Northwestern in the mid to late 2000s. He came to Miami. You have to be able to see that now. Show it to us on a week-to-week basis. And he did it against Virginia. And the reason why I say I'm going to applaud that and not even get too critical about it, Mark, is because he's shown spurts week after week after week. Spurt. And he had a full game where he really came together. Now, I don't know if it's time to go down or if he'll be able to coast for the rest of the month, helping Miami try to fight for a bowl. But as far as this game in particular, as far as him trusting his technique, him wanting to dominate, him choosing to dominate and go after the ball carrier on a consistent basis, I'll tell you what, I smiled. I was very, very happy for that young man, because as much as us in the media have a lot of crap to say about the people, or they're humans, Mark. They look into the mirror. They have a phone that goes off. They sit down with their parents and they have friends that talk, man, what happened to you used to be blah, blah, blah. And now you look and see that things hadn't really shown or came together for the young man. So word got out that earlier that week he had a sit-down meeting with him, his mother, and Coach Mario Cristobal. They had a very open heart-to-heart, and they were honest with one another. And then the young man goes out and plays like that. So that showed me that it wasn't one of those heart-to-hearts where it was just a bunch of trash talking and downplaying him and attacking what he isn't doing. You saw a young man go out there and play with his hair on fire, because I believe that Coach Cristobal reassured him and his mother that they are 100% behind him, and they just want to see him take that next step as a playmaker.
The running game got 113 yards out of Henry Parrish. Thad Franklin's a player that I thought would be, especially with the injuries in this running back room, would be a guy that was going to be utilized. And I don't know that he saw the field much.
Henry Parrish?
No, Thad Franklin.
Oh yeah, that's been a Mark, when it comes to players like this and situations where playing time and things, with a coach like Mario Cristobal, I'm just waiting on him to have again like the conversation he had with Leonard Taylor. You got to be able to talk these things out. Have to come to an understanding. We got to figure this out. And the young man is extremely talented. All right, just like Rooster. Okay, these young men are talented. Now, is it play calling? Is it them? Is it the strength and conditioning? Whatever it is, they got to come to an understanding and figure out, okay, are we going to go all in this direction, or are you going to depart? What's the issue here? And what can I do, speaking as a coach, what can I do to help bridge this gap? What can I do to create a better environment for you? What are we doing that you're feeling unsatisfied by? What are we doing that isn't helping you grow mentally, physically, spiritually, if you want to go that route? And if the young man is still feeling, distraught or feeling as though he can't, I just don't want to be in orange and green anymore. Guess what? The power of the transfer portal is that he could pick up and go wherever, whomever wants to pick him up. I don't necessarily know if it would go that way because Coach Cristobal is one of those that likes to come to an understanding, fix it, and let's move together. He's not one that just kicks people out the door and you suck, get out. You suck, get. He's not that kind of person. And when it comes to that, frankly, man, there's a lot where on film I'm seeing some things where as the 6 foot, 6'1", 240-pound guy, I want him to play a certain way. But then I also look back and remember to who he was in high school. He's a shifty guy. He's not your fullback just because he happens to be in the 230, 240 range and he happens to be a 6 foot, 6'1" guy. That doesn't mean that he's just a run you over Brandon Jacobs kind of running back. He is a full balanced back. He likes to make people miss. He likes to be shifty in movement. So with those things, we have to find a way to incorporate him into this offense over the next 4 games and really get him incorporated. He's too talented. He's too talented. And whatever the misunderstanding is or misusage is, you got to have those real conversations, be honest with one another, and see where we can get with when it comes to Thad Franklin and any other young man that isn't getting used right.
We got Falcon Rex here. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for chiming in. Going back to 2017, everyone thought Notre Dame would crush Miami in 2017. Not so fast, my friend.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you in that game. I don't necessarily know if these is the same magnitude. I think, yeah, that was a rivalry, but it's because of Notre Dame's disrespect and blatant racist comments about the University of Miami and their football players. This is just a rivalry game because we've been playing each other for so long. We recruit against each other, and it's really built on great talent and great football. Those of us choose to look at it through hate, but some other people just look at it through great football.
Falcon Rex staying after it here. I like Mario Cristobal, but should not play for overtime.
Yeah, I get that. A lot of the Miami Hurricanes fan base was very upset with Coach Cristobal. But I mean, Mark, here's my thing. 1 week we're upset about one thing. The next week we're upset about another. Next week we're upset. Listen, in a rebuild, you have to celebrate the little victories. Okay. And I look at the fact that I personally complained with Coach Cristobal about just take the points, punt the football, play the field. So for me, I was impressed and happy with what I witnessed to be and what I interpret to be growth in the Virginia game. Yes, you look at two logos, you look at the history, Virginia ain't supposed to be on Miami's level. Well, guess what? They are. We haven't proven crap in our conference since joining it, okay? In our division, we have not owned it at any point, excluding the 1 year we won it. But even then, we lost the game in division. So let's be honest about who we are and where we are as a program. And that takes time. It's hard to look at that when you're used to Michael Irvin and Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Warren Sapp and blah, blah, blah. This isn't that Miami. And I believe it took him some time to really hone in and see, I got to bring it down. Okay. I can't just go for dive just because I expect us to get this half an inch. No way. Middle Tennessee State has stopped you on 4th and inches, buddy. And he decided to take the field when it comes to punting it. He decided to take the points, and he came out with a W. The other time he decided to do that, we did the same thing at Virginia Tech. He just took the dang points, and we got out of there with a W. Just until you're fielding a team full of these 5 stars that you're used to, like Oregon, that's taken off now because of what he has built there, take the points, use the field to your advantage with punting the football, and make sure that you're playing a brand of ball that is winning games as best as you can. And the best way we can right now is taking the points and putting the football on 4th and inches or 4th and short or whomever.
Virginia did not score a touchdown in this game, right? Nobody scored a touchdown, right?
Correct.
I'm watching the highlights again. They threw a little.
The 2 minutes, I think his ACC network has like a 3-minute 58-second. And it was just like, wow, that's the highlights. Good God.
Well, the 2 plays that obviously Miami played, they blew a big play on defense, but they obviously recovered and stopped them. Was there's a as you well know, they hit a bomb. Virginia hit a bomb. The guy was 5-8 yards behind the defense.
Yep.
And then he stumbled when he turned for the ball because it was underthrown. If the ball was thrown out in front, he's got a touchdown. But he had to wait for it, turn around. And
that was a great setup by Virginia, actually. So just to break down what happened, to give you all a visual. So we happen to be in a 1-high, which we should never be. Anyway, we're in a 1-high scheme, and Al Blaze Jr. is helping us out on the back end, who's transitioned from corner to safety. And he happened to be in man coverage on the inside slot that did an out route. So he makes a beeline slamming down. Well, he runs into DJ Ivy, who happens to be in man coverage on the receiver that you're talking about. And they trip each other up and fall. And that's when, the QB is like, oh, I got somebody wide open. He underthrows it, skyrockets the ball. And then Miami gets a chance to come in and make a tackle. But yeah, if he puts that on the line, on a zip, that's touchdown Cavaliers.
So they stopped them after that or forced a field goal.
Correct.
Obviously.
Well, another thing that happened is Cam Kinchins comes down in a cover 3 scheme out of a 2-high, and he comes slamming down, and their tight end was wide open, and he swats the ball down. So that's what happened to them.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that play. And then there was another play where they threw. I don't think it was designed to be a screen. I didn't catch the setup of the play. I didn't see the formation, but they throw basically what turns out to be a screen, and the dude runs forever, but he gets knocked out at the pylon.
Right. So what happened was that, again, caught in man coverage, another one of our 0 coverages where everybody has a person. So we end up doing what's called a green dog blitz. So the inside linebacker has the running back, Corey Flagg Jr. Now, he did his job because the running back stayed in, and when a running back stays in, you blitz. If the running back goes out, you take him. Also known as a peel rule. So a peel rule meaning wherever the running back is, whatever the DN or linebacker that has him, if he goes out, you take him. If he stays in, you blitz, okay? So on that particular play, we had a green dog blitz, and we also had a QB spy with number 32, Nigel Lee Kelly, true freshman. So he takes 2 steps up the field. He sneaks back to the middle of the field where he's on the QB spy, okay, because Armstrong was giving us a lot of issues running up the middle on key 3rd downs. Now, they got us in a sense where both of these guys are staring at the quarterback, and then Flagg eventually takes off to blitz, and Nigel Lee is still sitting there waiting for the QB to spill out either way. Well, the running back identifies that and sneaks out to the flats, and there's nobody over there. And that's where you end up getting that big play of 60 yards. But you watch, they hit the R2 button, and they took off. I mean, Tyreek Stevenson, to Corey Couch, big pluses. Very, very happy to see that kind of stuff. Because, again, Mark, you hammer it home so much and you do all these pursuit drills and you scream and all out. But when young men make it amongst themselves that they're not allowing this to happen and they're gonna give maximum effort, it just makes the coaches, I mean, so happy, dog. Because how many times you think we've gone over a pursuit drill where they're begging somebody from the backside corner and the backside safety to sprint all the way there? And it happens sometimes, it doesn't. But in that situation, if they did not go all out to willing to blow a hamstring, they were running so hard. You're probably going to end up getting a touchdown there, and the game would have a different outcome for our Miami Hurricanes in all likelihood.
Falcon Rex, it's homecoming at Miami. Now, events going on. All right. Falcon Rex, I agree with H1H's point. Take the points. So you've looked at Florida State, and what do you see?
First off, I see a team I don't like. That's one.
Well, I know that.
I see a program that has shown a lot of growth in a year that honestly is really it's respectable, man. Coach Mike Norvell, I still don't think he's very good, but I just know that he'll always be limited in my mind because in the state of Florida, you got to be a recruiter, just like Billy Napier. I'm completely out on Billy Napier, and that's just how you know that, Mark. I think he'll be fired in 2 seasons. And basically, Brian Harsin 2.0 just happens to be in blue and gold instead of blue. Same blue and orange, just a different shade of it. Look at that. Yeah. They have a big time 6'7" wide receiver. He's basically their go-to guy. They have a good way of running the football in the RPO scheme. Still similar to how they ran things last year, but slightly different because the confidence they have in their quarterback is way higher this year than they had last year. Basically, they wanted him to just be the reason why things didn't go wrong. This year, they look at it like they want him to be the reason why things go right. And Travis has played a really, really good last couple of weeks. This previous week against Georgia Tech, they were humming. They were clicking on offense in almost all cylinders. And as a Miami fan, you're hoping that this week is the week they go on a downward spiral. If you're a Tallahassee fan, which I would never be, you're hoping that this was the kickoff for them to just kind of take off. Another thing I witnessed, I've watched 4 games of theirs. One of the other things that they do really well is they don't quit. Now, Clemson was kicking their faces in, but as soon as Clemson took their foot off the gas, they kept playing, which means that you're not going to, just because you get a big lead on this team, they're not going to just lay down and just let you run up the score. They're going to keep fighting and keep coaching and keep scheming. And even you saw that the week 0 or week 1 against LSU. There were times where they had a nice lead and LSU came storming back, and then they played all the way through the game and ended up winning on a mixed extra point. Now, you could call it a fluke, or you could call them continuously playing the game until you see triple zeros on the board. Defensively, aggressive, fast, big in certain instances. They have a transfer defense end from James Madison, who number 5. He can get your quarterback now. And we got our injured quarterback who more likely than not will start. So I'm hoping that John Campbell comes to play this week because Tallahassee's pass rush is pretty solid if you're not able to contain them. Secondary wise, I think they still can get had in the secondary, but they play a great brand of trap. What I mean by trap coverage is they love to be able to trick the quarterback into thinking someone is open, and then he lets the ball go on an outbreak or in break, and they come slamming down on that football and be able to intercept the ball. So if you look at the fact that maybe they haven't played anybody yet and it caught some people off guard, blah, blah, blah. If we're going to be bluntly honest, on Saturday, you're going to see 2 different forms of the teams that you haven't seen, period, because they're going to get up for this game. They're both going to get up and come out and play some of the best brand of ball. Now, this is the first time in a little bit that it's been this kind of late in the season. I think it was 2 weeks earlier than this last year. I believe so. And then 2020, we played them the 3rd week of the season. and Miami was humming while they were still trying to build things together, and their head coach caught COVID. So um, it pains me to say this, but Mark, I don't know. After reviewing both films, I just don't know what Miami can do to come out as far as with a W. I think they're gonna get us this year, and it's super unfortunate and it's sad, but I think they got us.
Yeah, if you just consider they play in the same conference and Miami's 4-4 and Florida State's 5-3, you would think, okay, well, this is a toss-up. But I watched quite a bit of both of these teams, and I gotta say that Miami's played parts of games. Miami's played more so on the defensive side of the ball. They obviously progressed. They started to progress under TVD. They got off to a slow start with TVD. He got off to a slow start. Then he hit that stretch where he notched it up, and they started hitting on big plays. Were much more efficient and all that. But then he goes down. But has Miami played a good game this season? Have they really played a good game this season? The Texas A&M game defensively would be the best game that they've played, and offensively they ran the ball in that game. They just didn't cash it in the red zone. But other than that, to where when I look at Florida State, I think LSU would beat them today. But to their credit, they won the game. So they played a good LSU team. They won the game. It was obviously a toss-up. NC State, Wake, I think those are good teams. I think they're top 25. They're not great teams, but and they certainly were better than FSU, although FSU made a mistake late against NC State. Could have, they were caught in a difficult situation. I actually posted a video about it because I agreed with Mike Norvell's decision to go for it and put the game in his best player's hands, Jordan Travis, and disdain the field goal because the kicker was missing everything left and right for a few games. But I didn't like the play approach. I liked the decision. So anyway, they lose a game to NC State, and they're a good team. Not a great team, good team. Wake Forest, and then you mentioned the Clemson game. The Clemson game, they come out and for about 20 minutes of the game, they're basically matching them 14-all, and then they get dominated through the second and third quarters. They get into the fourth quarter. They make a kind of gave it a shot to come back and pull off a miracle, but they didn't get real close. But shoot, they scored a touchdown, had an onside kick, that kind of deal. So they've played good teams better. They haven't won the games except LSU, but they've played a competitive brand of football against Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, beat LSU.
Yeah, Mark, it's I tell you what, this is not what I expected this season to be like, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to review it. It's really hard to watch it because that these players are not this bad. You know that they're not what you're watching is just it doesn't make any sense to you, but unfortunately, it is a reality, and you're hoping that this staff and that these players just somehow find a way to kind of pull it together and. Because we've been getting on Florida, we've been getting on Tallahassee for the longest about missing bowl games, and at least Miami would always make it to 6 wins. Now, whether we lose the bowl game or get shut out by La Tech or lose the FIU, there were years where Florida is like 4-0. Now, although they play an SEC schedule, they're not even getting bowl selections. Tallahassee hasn't been to a bowl game in almost half a decade, which is amazing. But Miami is on the precipice of having that same issue rise up, and you could also look at it as being one of the worst preseason to postseason falls. And thank God it's happening at the same time that Texas A&M is, because then people are not throwing as many stones at Miami as they are throwing stones at the team that paid for their players and still sucks. So it's crazy, and I never ever would think I would pick a Tallahassee win. I don't care if we were 1-10. But again, I'm hoping that the rivalry football gods make shine orange and green, and we get a chance to get a W. But and usually I'm extremely cocky about this game and about my team, but I have a horrible feeling about this game. And sad. Maybe I come back and watch this and I'm like, oh, this is just such a mucky and sad video. And thank God we get a W. But I look at this program and I look at what I'm watching week in and week out, and they're not necessarily playing winning football. And Tallahassee is showing the growth and showing from time to time that they can play winning football. Um, and the other thing is when I look at Tallahassee, is they haven't been blown out this year. We've been blown out by really, really, really bad teams. So it's not a good combo. And again, some people may be hot at me, especially in our fan base, about this isn't the wholesome I know, blah, blah, but you have to take it for what we're witnessing right now, and that's the reality of the fact that they are a better team than us. And hopefully on Saturday when we get a chance to play, we can prove it opposite. But as far as how they're playing, the level of intensity that they're playing with, the fact that they look like they give a damn out there on that football field, especially offensively, oh man, we'll see. We will see.
Do you have any idea about Tyler Van Dyke? What do you think's going to happen there? Do you have any idea of whether he's going to play or not?
No, I think that they are going to put him out there. They are going to start him because you want to win this game. He's your best opportunity to win this game. It's just that simple. There's nowhere in the world you expect Jake to go out there and win you this game, especially the way he's been playing the last 2 weeks.
Okay. So TVD's playing. So there's more hope than I don't want to speak for Cam, but I think he was pretty clear last night. He doesn't believe Tyler Van Dyke's going to play.
And that's fine. That's his viewpoint. From my viewpoint, from listening to it, with Coach Cristobal and listening to kind of this inflection in the voice, I think we got it.
Okay. So I want to see the teams at their best, obviously, playing this game. So TVD's playing, let's say. How would you game plan this game based on what you saw for 4 games out of Florida State, the way this team's playing Miami? You got TVD. How do you approach this game? What's the best path to a victory?
The path to a victory for Miami happens to be the same way that we get it done. Make the game muggy and the slug fest. Do not try to go back and forth in the shootout. You look at Texas A&M, what happened with that? Run the football, milk the clock, play sturdy defense, hit them in the mouth. That's your best way of winning right now. The same thing against Virginia Tech. That's it. Now you watch the same thing with this past week against Virginia. You got to make it muddy. And when you get opportunities, you must kick the damn ball. Kick it, punt it, extra point it, kick the damn ball. Okay. Then that's your best opportunity. Miami's offensive line against Tallahassee's defensive line. They're kind of mediocre at D tackle, but they have a pretty solid edge rusher. Our left tackle and John Campbell's been playing so maybe he picks up for that one game. But as far as the play actions and continuously leaving your quarterback and assist to get sacked and tackled and in the backfield, I don't see that. But again, you can't come out and just try to run Wisconsin ball because then they're going to load the box on you. The best thing I saw this past week was that some of the fade routes was happening with Young. And, Xavier Restrepo was back in this game, so we get a chance to see Xavier Restrepo. Hopefully he gets a chance to make somebody miss. We saw a bunch of plays that happened with Bashard Smith also. So hopefully they can make something happen out there and kind of get the ball out and in front of them and in open space, man. Some people believe that you want to win, you go for it. You go for the touchdown. But in some instances, especially looking at where we are right now, you got to take the small victories. Settle for 3. I know you're upset. You wanted 7. I get it. But the way that we're playing, it's better to get 3 then even if he misses the field goal, at least you went for it. You gave the field goal, as opposed to you get to 4th and goal, you go for the dive, they stuff you. Now you have no momentum offensively. They have all the momentum defensively. Their offense is running on the field, fired up, their sidelines going crazy, and your guys are jogging on the field with their head down because here we go again. And we've seen this happen. You got to be able to kick that field goal and play great field position. And I understand this game, the emotion of this game, and not just the rivalry game, but football in of itself will make you sometimes do things that may not be the smartest because you want to win so damn bad. And trust me, I get that. But you got to be able to be level-headed, even-keeled, and take the points. Now, defensively, you got to contain Jordan Travis. Now, I don't really know too many people on our team. If we let him free, we may be able to push him out of bounds or something like that. But he's going to get positive yards. The bend don't break is one of the horrible defenses that I hate because it basically allows you to give up all these yards and then try to play real hard in the red zone. No, that's not the mentality that you want to incorporate into your team. Now, understanding that offenses are going to scheme up big plays. Offenses are going to make plays. That's one thing. But just saying, whatever. He got a 60-yard bomb, whatever. All right, guys, here we go. Let's play hard now. No, that's just not a good mentality to get into. I'm not saying coaches think that way, but you start to say these kinds of things. You start to think that way as players. You're like, man, that's all right. We got it. We'll get them. No, you got to come out aggressive on defense, okay, and corral him. And they're going to try to run that football, and they have different ways of running the football. It's very dynamic, whether it's off stretches, whether it's RPO game, whether it's dives, and they're up tempo. After they get that first down, they like to go up tempo. So we got to communicate well in the secondary. So again, Mark, like I said, it's going to be a tough one, man. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, but hopefully Miami comes to play. And like I said, rivalry football, we've seen crazier things happen. And regardless of the outcome of this game, I would say that Miami, even though this could be the one thing to salvage your season, had one of the most disappointing seasons. And for them, I mean, they get to a bowl game and they've had the best season in 5 years if they just get to a bowl. So they beat Miami, they get to a bowl, plus they continue the streak and blah, blah, blah. That's probably all they can kind of muster up for their season. So unfortunately, in my opinion, I gotta wait all the way to 8 o'clock to watch this crap. I'm hoping that it was I wish it was a noon kickoff so we can get it over with, be done with it. I could watch the rest of college football. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I'm hoping that my Canes come to play. I'm hoping my Canes come and handle business, but you also have to be honest about logic. And fortunately for them, and unfortunately for us, they seem to be playing a better brand of football right now.
So we've got 4 games left in the regular season. Obviously, getting to a bowl game is, in my eyes, it's huge in 2 ways. It's from a tangible standpoint, bowl practices, young team, young players, development, working on a lot of things. You get 15 practices. That's big. Number 2, it's just getting to a bowl game and having an expectation that you go to bowl games. If you're a decent team, if you're a decent program, you go to bowl games, and trying to use that as a springboard into the off season, into the next season, that, hey, regardless of how lousy the season could be, if you get 6-6, you get to a bowl game, you take on a decent team, you beat them, you get a bowl win, and you move on to the next. So those are the 2 reasons why I think it's big to get to a bowl game.
I agree. I agree. Bowl games are huge, especially where Miami is right now. You're losing to Clemson. Let's just get that understood. So basically, your best opportunity is this Saturday. Your next best opportunity is Georgia Tech. I think Pitt and Clemson are both better than Miami right now. So your best chances is this upcoming Saturday against Tallahassee, and then next week Saturday against Georgia Tech to somehow get the 6 wins.
They could beat Pitt. They
I
could.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But like I said, I still think that they're just playing a better brand of ball
Yeah.
right now.
So with the 4 games left, what players do you think on either side of the ball, do you think that this is an even more important stretch going into next season? Guys that are either not going to be around not because they're NFL players, but aren't going to be around not because they want to leave, but because there may be conversations that it may be best. They may be losing time. Um, guys that are just kind of on the fence that that these 4 games are going to be important to for next year.
I'm gonna say if Tyler is there, it's great for Tyler to finish out this season. I would also say some encouraging things to see out of Ja'Cory Brown would be huge. Seeing more than just him be used as a runner. I hate that stereotype. The young man is better than just running the football for you. Allow him to do more than just taking off and running the football. Um, it's similar to how Georgia used, and I'm not saying he's Justin Fields. I'm saying it's similar to how Georgia used Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that's what I said, because people will take it and run. He called Ja'Cory Brown Justin Fields. That's not what I'm saying. But UGA only put him in to run the read option and then kicked him back out the game. The guy goes off to be a first-round draft pick at Ohio State because they opened up. But anyway, I want to see Ja'Cory be able to throw more than, throw a little bit more in there. If TVD is hurt, then go ahead and sit out, and we'll see you next season, man. And then build some confidence in Jake Garcia and have him be able to have some confidence with his route combinations and throwing that football and seeing the ball hit the wide receivers in the hand, seeing the ball cross the end zone, him being able to take off and run if need be. This offensive line, they need as a collective, because no one needs to move on to the NFL except for Scaife. He has to go because he's older. But the rest of these guys are coming back. They need to see these next 4 games. They need to be able to move people. They need to be able to climb and trust back to what they had done just 6 weeks ago to start the season, when they were one of the better offensive lines. But at the same time, a bunch of injuries have happened. We've had our center go down, then a backup center go down. We've had our right guard go down. We've had our left tackle out for the majority of the season. So it's just been kind of all over the place. And if we can find a way to be healthy these next 4 weeks, man, that'll be so big to me, because it seems like our guys are dropping like flies, Mark, and we don't know whether it be because they're overworking the young men or pre-existing injuries that they tried to ignore. Or we just don't know. But for some apparent reason, our young men are just, we got a guy every week that's out for something. And I would say that's about it offensively. Defensively, Leonard Taylor continuing his reign of dominance. He had one last week. I would love to see another one of those, 3-4 TFL, 2-sack game again. That's huge, man, because he is always had the ability to do it. We got to be able to make that happen. Linebacker wise, I mean, Corey Flagg is still, Corey Flagg, open field tackler kind of guy. He's just not good in coverage. Chase Smith is out for the year, so I don't really. Nigel E. Kelly, the young guy, Nigel E. Kelly, it would be big for him to continue. He had a sack last week also, so I would love to see him continue to build some more confidence getting after the quarterback, and maybe get 2 or more sacks for him over the next 4 weeks would be huge to continue to build his confidence. Secondary wise, I think they just have to continue to not have the mental mistakes, have each other's back, and know where you're supposed to be. If you got deep thirds, get back. If you got alley flats, sneak in that alley, hold the alley until somebody comes to the flats and slam down. You have to be able to do that. Not hop to the flats and leave the alley wide open because you want to jump the out route. No, that's why it's called the alley flats. The thing that is priority is the alley until it's time to drift to the flats. Take it to Avante Williams versus Virginia Tech, where we almost gave up a touchdown, but he punches the ball out and DJ Ivy flops on it, things like that nature. So that's why I say that. You got to trust each other back there. You have to, and make plays with one another, and not just in this game, but moving forward. You gotta be able to do it. But if Leonard Taylor, I think you talk about keys to a Miami win. If this defensive line comes to play, especially Leonard Taylor and the way that he can stop the run, then I think Miami can have a chance to battle it out with Tallahassee and muddy the game up and come out with a W in the end. But we start not disengaging, we start letting their offensive linemen climb, we start missing open field tackles, we give up big plays. This can get ugly and get ugly real fast.
Folks, we get the wholesome one here every Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We appreciate the wholesome one breaking down Miami football for us for a long time going back. So please head on over to the Wholesome One's channel, Wholesome One Holloway, right here on YouTube. And be back here next Thursday. Bring some friends and family with you. Anyone you know, get them here for the discussion on the Canes. And it's a college football season, meaning it's a precious 12 weeks, 12 games. That's all that's guaranteed is the 12 games. You don't know past that. And we're down to the final 4 here.
Yeah. I mean, sad. I guess I know how the North Carolina fans felt last year when they had all that hype going into last year, but then they turned out to be the team this year in year 2. And Mark, we have to lean into it, and it's true, man. You have the fact that we are the off-season warriors, off-season champions, and recruiting was big off the field, off-season. December comes around, we may have some big surprises where somebody puts on an orange hat, throws up that U. Again, off-season. So eventually we got to get to the point where the things and all the hype that we create as a program and as a fan base in the off-season translates to wins on Thursday and Saturday afternoon and nights for the Miami Hurricanes in the fall. Because in the spring and in the summer, Miami is always in contention. We got to find a way to make sure when fall comes around, we get it done, man.
Have you seen anything in this college football season that just kind of stands out to you as we get down to 4 weeks for everyone, and we're going to be looking at conference championship games and who's in the playoff and all that only a month from now?
Well, you got to see a bunch of new faces and new programs. I mean, Duke and Coach Elko at Duke
Yep.
he's done an amazing job there. Coach Mac Brown with his resurgence of North Carolina, I think it's year 5 for him or something like that, where he's kind of doing really well. They have the quarterback that just happens to be finding ways to get it done. He finds the way to get it done. And as far as good, I've seen Tennessee. Coach Heupel has done an amazing job there at Tennessee. Super happy to see him. Hopefully they destroy Georgia this Saturday and they can go off and play Ohio State in the national championship. And we get the 2 best teams to play each other. That's what I would want to see. But who could stumble and lose here and things of that nature, we can create all kinds of craziness in college football. But it's refreshing. The Big 12 is also refreshing to me, Mark, to be able to look and see, oh, man, there's a chance that you're going to see Kansas State and TCU in the championship game when every offseason, just like, Miami, Texas is always put in there. Oklahoma ended up having one of the worst seasons in recent school history before our eyes. And I don't know how close they are to a bowl, but they're still kind of fighting for that with blowout losses.
They're 5-3.
Yeah, so they could make a bowl soon too. So that's USC. Very happy, always been fond of USC and very respectful of our cousins to the west, as I call them. And I wish they would have got that win at Utah, but that happened to be a very important night up there at Utah. And Utah ended up going off and losing to UCLA. So there's a chance that you could get UCLA and USC, or you could get USC Oregon. I mean, it's nice to be able to see it spread out. And of course, I'm a Southern guy, born and raised in Miami, but it got to the point where if the national championship is just teams from the South that could get to a point where the rest of the country could give a crap less. It's either Clemson, Bama, Georgia, and it maybe Ohio State if they could get it done. So I'm really happy to see those things happen and see ball be respected all across the country. And of course, I'm gonna always think that the best brand of ball is played in the South, but you have to respect that good football is played all over. And I'm just happy to see other teams showing that across the country at the Power 5 level.
I saw a stat the other day that Drake May, who threw for, I think, 388 and 5 touchdowns against Pitt, North Carolina was down going into the fourth quarter and outscored Pitt 21-0 to take that one. There's only 3 quarterbacks, if he continues his current pace, only 3 quarterbacks in the history of college football that have averaged 300 yards passing per game and led their team in rushing. Do you know who the other 2 are?
Cam Newton and RG3.
Those are good guesses. Johnny Manziel and Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, Pat Mahomes, boy.
Yeah.
I like Patrick Mahomes, man. I like that. Yeah, like I said, I always like to have the last 10 minutes where we talk about college ball. I mean, I also started my Wednesday night shows where I do H1H college football, where I get a chance to talk about all of college football, excluding Tallahassee. I will never talk about them. I talk about the Florida Gators. I have no problem talking about the Florida Gators or the Central Florida Knights, Golden Knights, excuse me, the FAU Owls, the Florida International, Fighting Panthers, everywhere else. But I will never respect, nor talk about, nor appreciate Tallahassee. It's just that simple. Now, I do like the Florida A&M University Rattlers.
Yeah.
Okay, the HBCU. I mean, the school that was there first, when Tallahassee was just a all-girls school. But, don't want to get into that. You don't want to get people upset with facts. So the only school in Tallahassee I recognize is Tallahassee Technical and Florida A&M University, the Rattlers. So that's it for me.
So why the feelings in that direction, but not in the Florida Gator direction?
Man, I really don't have an issue with the Gators like that. I mean, growing up in Miami, we rarely played them in my time of really watching them. You had the game in 03, but then we didn't play them again until, 05 Orange Bowl. Then we didn't play them again until 08. And then Urban Meyer, kind of beat our heads in. We didn't play them again from 08 until 2013 or somewhere. Yeah, 2013. So the thing with Tallahassee is you play them every year. So there's that back and forthness. But I definitely have no quarrel with the Florida Gators. Now, that's my generation. The generation before me, older people. Look at Cam. Cam's like 55 or whatever. Cam absolutely can't stand the Florida Gators, and he has respect for Tallahassee. I'm the complete opposite. I have respect for the University of Florida. I appreciate the University of Florida. I like their brand of football. I like the swamp. It's kind of cool. But I have no respect or appreciation in my heart for Tallahassee. So.
Okay. Before we wrap it up, anything in the NFL that's jumped out at you recently?
Well, the local team or close team up here to me with the Minnesota Vikings, they were kind of my surprise team and my preseason pick, my preseason Super Bowl. Now, people call me crazy then. I said Bills, Vikings.
Oh, okay. They just picked up a tight end too.
Yeah, Hutchinson.
T.J. Hawkinson, the
Hawkinson,
Iowa.
Out of Iowa. Yeah, out of Iowa. He played for the Lions. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely get that. I mean, that's kind of what I like. I mean, of course, with my Baltimore Ravens, big Baltimore Raven guy here too. Also, I mean, we win some games, losing some games, but we picked up one of the best inside linebackers in the National Football League out of Georgia. Played for the Chicago Bears, and his name is
Smith
right now. Roquan Smith. Yeah, I mean, I loved him at Georgia. It was weird seeing him wear number 3, but whatever. Middle linebacker was kind of weird. But anyway, he was a really good brand of ball inside linebacker, more of a traditional inside linebacker Doesn't really rush the passer, not the best in coverage wise, but he fits way better, I think, in an aggressive 3-4 that we run in Baltimore. It's kind of multiple, but it's aggressive. They send linebackers all the time and drop the end, send safeties and drop line. Like that's just kind of how we're very, very aggressive in that sense. And that's where I think he'll fit in a lot more because it's similar to Georgia as opposed to the Chicago Bears approach where it was more like man the line of scrimmage, do your job kind of brand of defense. He didn't really get a chance to stand out as much. So I think he'll do really, really good in Baltimore.
Wholesome One Holloway, get on over to his YouTube channel. There's always some great stuff there, breaking down film, breaking down this matchup in both teams. So get on over there to see the Wholesome One and follow him on Twitter. There is the Twitter handle right there.
I appreciate it. I'm letting you know in advance because I see some of the haters in there. Listen, you come to my channel, you come to my page. I'm one of the best blockers in the world. I should be a left tackle, okay, in the league. I hit block faster than you could finish your next statement about how fat and ugly I am. Trust me, you will be blocked and kicked out instantly. I mean, gone. So don't even waste your time. No need to come over there and thumbs down the video or make a insulting comment or tweet at me because I'm just going to block you. So why waste your time? Anyway, before I get out of here, I do want to definitely say this. In life, man, please make sure that you let your family members know that you love them, man, and that you continue to push joy and happiness amongst your family and be there for them when times are hard because you just never know. And that's why they say tell your family members that you love them because you just don't know. Don't go to bed at night angry with somebody because you don't know. Tomorrow is never promised to any one of us. So, make sure you tell your family that you love them today. Pick a cousin or two to send a text message to them and let them know that you love them because today, unfortunately, I lost a very, very close family member of mine, and Lakeisha Moss, who is, Santana Moss's baby cousin also. We lost her today to kidney failure. And she's a Miami Norland grad of 1991. So she's been around before I was born in 96, and she knew my dad and my mom when they were in high school. So just make sure that you love on your family members, man. And, God bless you guys. And as always, go Canes.